Chiefs country. I'm really disappointed in Dan Orlovsky on this one. You know, Dan Orlovsky is one of my favorite analysts on First Take and just ESPN in general. You know, when he's talking football, I feel like he's second to none when he gets up in front of that board and he started dissecting plays and just certain players. But he seemed a bit salty about the Chiefs winning this game as he picked the Eagles to win. His reasoning for why this call shouldn't have been made is insane. First off, he had a problem with the call as it was a clear and obvious hold. There's no discussion. He also goes, as far as to bring up that Juju never complained to officials. Really, Dan? You were saying because Juju never complained, that shouldn't have been a call? Dan, Juju doesn't get paid to ref the game. Maybe he figured there was no point in complaining because he didn't get the call in the second quarter. After his arm was clearly held, that should have been a first down. He also mentioned that he watched the Chiefs sideline and didn't see any players from the, Chiefs or coaches from the Chiefs jumping up and down or complaining about the call. But Dan, maybe they saw the process of the flag being thrown. Maybe they saw the flag, was in the process of being thrown. Who knows? But my thing is, you can't go off that. That's just poor reasoning. Dan must have lost some serious money on this game. He mentioned on the show that his son was crying and his family was mad about the call. That's a bit biased because he mentioned that they are Philly fans, so no wonder. Out of all the things you choose to whine about, you whine about the refs making the right call. Why not complain about the Philly defense that, they received all this credit for the last 2 weeks, how historic that D-line has been, these lockdown corners in the secondary. John Gannon was, getting looked at for possible head coaching opportunities. So let's look at that first before we look at the call that was correct on the field. Dan just wanted Hurts to get the ball one last time. Let's not forget, Dan picked the Bengals to beat the Chiefs. As he said, athleticism aside, Joe Burrow was better than Mahomes at dissecting defenses and just quarterbacking. Take a listen to Dan's ridiculous reasoning for why he felt that was a bad call.
All right, so the referee crew was asked how much debate there was amongst the crew when that flag was thrown. Head official Carl Sheffer said there was no debate, just making sure that he had. And once he told us what he had, he went about our business. Dan Orlovsky joining us now from New York City. Dan, good morning. You got us?
What up? I got you.
Hey. Do you have a problem with that holding call, Dan?
I do. I do. The reality is 57 minutes plus in that football game, there wasn't a single holding penalty thrown. There was one pass interference flag that was thrown, not a single holding penalty. So the theme of the game is in many ways like referees are allowing those guys to play. And when I watch that play, two things that stand out to me are that's the play that we're throwing a holding penalty on. Is there a tug and hold? Of course there is. And everybody, I've heard defensive players say millions of times there is on every single play. Great. So that's the one. This is the one that stands out. And the most standout thing to me is body language post-play. Juju Smith-Schuster never intimates to the officials, what are we looking at? And like 3rd and 8, he's the guy running the winning route, and he is the guy that can feel a hold or a tug better than anybody can see it. And he doesn't have any type of body language towards the officials of going, where's the flag? How did you miss that? That's such a missed call. And so the reality of me watching that, and I was at the game, and I'm watching their sideline for Kansas City, and I'm watching Juju, and there's nothing like them going on, throwing arms up in the air and disappointment of you missed a call. And the fact that they went that long in the game without throwing a penalty when it comes to holding, and that's the one that we're going to throw the flag on, I think it's a bad call. 16 out, bad call. Even Bradberry admitting he did hold, yes. I still think it's a bad call because of what it was leading into that moment, and then watching the wide receivers' body language or lack thereof after it. I think it's a bad call. Bad call.
Dan, they already threw the flag though. Like the bench doesn't have to react in any way because they're looking at the yellow laundry on the field. They can see it.
What about Juju?
Like Juju. So now what you're saying is we are measuring how egregious a hold is based off the level of whining that goes along with the call. We talked about this earlier, Dan. You mentioned the call early on in the game on the slant where he looked like he tugged him a little bit before he wrapped around with the front hand to try to knock the ball down. That's at the point of attack. That's Juju thinking, I'm about to catch the ball. I'm emotional because I felt like I got tugged right at that moment. He was held at the start of the route. Juju might not know the rule. Juju might have think he got clamped up. When you look at this play, you can't, and I'm sitting with like great basketball minds here. This is basically saying because you let calls go or because Michael Jordan or LeBron James or whoever it is trying to finish the game and they get hit on the elbow, we have to swallow our whistle right now because we'll give up 2 free throws. No, they're supposed to make that call because it's holding.
Let me ask you
That's
this, Ryan,
it.
too. He did it twice.
Yes.
And that's what, when I looked at it again, it's twice. By the way, it isn't egregious. Sometimes there's shades of gray. And part of me wishes, because of the way that game was going, that there hadn't been a call. But when you look at it,
I agree with that, though.
Twice. Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you. And this isn't even really an argument because we get it. We get that it's a call, and all of us can watch it and see that it is a good call. Sure. I think, Dan, one of the reasons it bothers us is that this was a classic. This is a 35-35 Super Bowl between these two great quarterbacks. This had the ability to be an unbelievable, like one of the most memorable Super Bowls ever, and instead it ends with this deflation.
I was getting so excited to watch Jalen Hurts get the ball down 3 with 90 seconds to go.
We all were.
The way that he was playing football. I mean, he was having like one of the best quarterback performances I had seen.
Can I just say this one thing? That's why I said it's okay to be disappointed without being angry.
Right.
No,
like
Dom,
I'm disappointed too, but I'm not going to blame the ref for doing his job properly and be mad at him.
I'm with you. I think why I still believe it's an awful call, Dom, is this. One, we've talked about I think there's one or no holding calls up until this point throughout the whole game. So that's the most egregious hold of the game. That one. That's my point, Dom.
If they missed other calls, is your point?
But if they've gone 57 plus minutes and quote unquote missed other calls,
hey guys,
or allowed other calls to happen because it's a Super Bowl game, then that's the most egregious one.
If they set a tone for the way the game is going to be called, is the point we're making. RC, final word on this, and then I'm going to other business. Go.
Bro, when it happened, it was 35-35. Wasn't nobody back there holding. They should have been holding because folks was running butt, booty, naked, wide open. So you know what? They probably didn't have to call holding throughout the game because they weren't. And the time that he was getting beat and he said, you know what? I probably shouldn't give up another pass or I probably shouldn't let them score again. Let me hold this man. And that's why they called it. The game's not necessarily clean. And when you're talking about this call or this play being egregious, no, he didn't pull him down. He didn't drag him down. He was able to finish on his route, but he did hold him, right? Devontae Smith wasn't held on that football down the sideline, right? A.J. Brown wasn't held. Travis Kelce wasn't held all day. And you know what? All those people ate. This was a holding. This is a call that had to be made. And I am with Dom. I am disappointed too, Dan. I'm upset too. But we can't sit here and say, if you could tell me this, if you could go on that play, James Bradberry did not hold Juju Smith-Schuster, then I'll have this conversation for the rest of Get Up. But if you can't tell me that.
He said it.
Yeah.
Right. You can't tell me that?